Just a little bit.
All right. So sorry, buddy. So here's the deal. Loyal viewers know that come divisional round of the playoffs, the committee pares the list down to 8 teams for tiers. Mahomes Mountain is the 8 remaining quarterbacks. That's for loyal viewers. Disloyal co-hosts may whine and moan about that before the meeting, like the segment's gonna suck, there's not enough guys, it's gonna be boring. All of my guys are now not anywhere near the mountain. All of the quarterbacks that I've loved and believed in, of course, none of them are still playing. So what do you want me to say? So, in honor of that person, a reminder of who fell off the mountain this week, the 6 losing quarterbacks. Those guys, of course. Listen, Justin Herbert, next time he shows up on the mountain, it's going to be further down than he's used to. You have a 5-year grace period to live up to your talent. After that, it's just production. Russell Wilson, is he going to be a week 1 starter next year? I don't know. Bo Nix, excellent rookie season. Playoff game water kind of found its level, but he'll be happy with his placement next time he's on the mountain. Jordan, no, that's him falling down the mountain. Bake Show will be just fine. Bake Show.
Baker.
Yeah, Baker, even, again, they only had 44 offensive plays, just unbelievable. And Sam Darnold. Will Sam Darnold be on the mountain week 1 of next year? Will he be on it? Because if you're not a starter, you're not on it. And so if he stays in Minnesota, who knows what it is. Now, to the mountain itself, 8 players left, which usually means everyone moves up, not Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
I mean, come on, man. Like, come on.
Wow.
You are seemingly driving your wide receivers to frustration in ways we've never seen previous in NFL history. 9-game winning streak. What's going on with the team? Passing game off. And then Brandon Graham's like, man, they're not even friends anymore. Then Drew's like, don't believe fake news. And now A.J. Brown's on the sideline reading Tony Robbins or someone, 10 ways to calm a troubled soul. Like, come on, Jalen. You're a bruised guy. You need to be better. 4th row.
Insane.
C.J. Stroud. Man, the Texans, I can't move C.J. up because the Texans desperately wanted to lose that game. It was like they had plans for this coming weekend, and it wasn't to go to Arrowhead and get their teeth kicked in. Tell you that much right now. But the Chargers wouldn't let him. CJ, now to his credit, that 3rd and 16 play when the bad snap, or I don't know if it was bad snap, but the fumbled snap, he had the poise to get the ball, make the big play, kind of flip the momentum of the game. And then in the second half, he was far better. But they're going to have to tighten it up if they're going to have any chance this weekend. All right, 3rd row. Jaden Daniels. I haven't put pencil to paper on this yet, but where does this rank on the greatest rookie quarterback seasons ever? Because for me, the most spectacular one I had seen was RG3. But he got hurt in the playoff game and they lost actually to a different rookie quarterback in Russell Wilson, who was also on the short list. That whole class, Andrew Luck was quite good that year. Obviously, CJ last year. Jaden feels different because so many of these games, they're pulling him out from the fire at the end. He's so poised. You guys were right that his mentality of, it's just another game, really served him well. It's an all-time rookie season. Jared Goff didn't play. He stays where he is. And Lamar, listen, moving up the mountain. That's all you got to do. Mountain's tough. Mountain's fair. Play a great playoff game. You move up the playoff mountain. Seems right to me.
Makes sense.
2nd row. You'll see no movement on the 2nd row. You know why? Because the mountain knows. Mountain's not surprised that Josh Allen at the Highmark Invitational balls out. Nobody kicks the teeth in of a 7 seed like Josh Allen and the Bills. It's like the NFL almost created the 7 seed just to juice Josh Allen's playoff stats. They love that game. And Matt Stafford, I don't know, 15 touchdowns, 3 picks, 5-1 record, 300 yards per game since he's gotten out of Detroit. Seems pretty good. And then atop the mountain, patiently waiting, timing birth of children to playoff bye weeks for the rest of the league is Patrick Mahomes. And just a quick reminder, just because we had the heresy of Allen's Alpine or whatever, the guy that some people thought shouldn't be atop the mountain, the playoff mountain, that's his ranks in NFL history in a handful of meaningful postseason stats.
Solid.
Greg.
Okay. Let's talk about this. Okay. I'm going to do this a couple different ways. I'm going to do this a little bit differently, especially because there's only so many quarterbacks to talk about. And it's something that I think I'm going to do moving forward. I talked about this in the live stream that I think I'm just going to go for it. But I want to address the mountain based off of how Nick does it first. One, Jalen Hurts being at the bottom. I'm just going to say this straight up. That's a disgrace. That is just 100% wrong. It is just wrong. Watch how he played. Watch how he played. He did not play poorly. He completely took care of the game. The lack of passing had nothing to do with him. Nobody was open. I just made a video. I made it last night at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Dan Orlovsky breaking it down. It's awesome. Watch it. Either watch it, my video, or just watch it from Dan Orlovsky. It was on NFL Live, First Take, whatever. And he shows you nobody is open. And the fact that Jalen Hurts took care of the ball and was smart and didn't force it, no turnovers, he played high-level football. He absolutely did. I'm trying to find my Eagles notes. I didn't expect that this is what this take was going to be. 13 for 21, 131 yards. I understand that that's not world-beating. But he took care of the ball, 2 touchdowns, 111 rating, was really patient. That first touchdown pass was really, really, really patient. 6 carries for 36 yards rushing. He didn't make the mistake that all these other quarterbacks did. You want to go back to the quarterbacks who slid off the mountain? Justin Herbert made mistakes. Bo Nix didn't make a mistake, and I don't think Russ did either. Jordan Love made mistakes. Baker Mayfield made mistakes. Sam Darnold made mistakes. I mean, they just did. I've defended those quarterbacks too, but like they did. They did make plays that did hurt their quarterback. I'm not going to say that all those quarterbacks are the reason why their teams lost, but they did make mistakes that technically hurt their team. Whatever percentage you want to give them, that's up to you. But Jalen Hurts did not do that. CJ Stroud made mistakes. Did CJ Stroud have to play a little bit more of hero ball than Jalen Hurts? Sure, but that's not Jalen Hurts' fault. Don't put that on Jalen Hurts, which is going to actually contradict what I'm going to say later on in this clip when I kind of rearrange this mountain. So you'll have to just bear with me. But I'm talking about in the context of this mountain right now. Not to mention, if this is playoff mountain, so this is also now past playoff experiences. Okay, that's the reality. That's what it's supposed to be. Past playoff as well. That's the whole thing. It's this year's and last year's. That's why Mahomes at the top. Obviously, Nick showed the thing. So Jalen Hurts, you guys want to say like, oh, you can't keep hanging on the Super Bowl. You can't hang on the Super Bowl. If his Super Bowl performance and what he's done in a handful of other playoff games does not put you above CJ Stroud, I don't know what to tell you then. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. Again, I don't think CJ Stroud played bad against the Chargers by no means, and I'm a huge CJ Stroud fan. But if what Jalen Hurts did in the Super Bowl, and then him playing an incredibly clean, smart, high-level game management against the Packers doesn't, that isn't enough. And he did the same thing when he played against the Giants and the 49ers. I don't know what to tell you. Like it's just absurd. It's just based off of thoughts and feelings and not reality. It's insane. And so yeah, he's just got to be elevated. And now this is when it gets bizarre, because I think what Jaden Daniels did was unbelievably amazing and so incredibly high level. And I think with Jared Goff, and this is also tough because now we're talking about buys and stuff, and Goff hasn't played, Mahomes hasn't played. But I think what Jaden Daniels did was special, and what Jaden Daniels needed to do against the Buccaneers was technically more special than what Lamar has done, but Lamar has more experience in the playoffs. Like, this is where it does, and that's why they said that they were kind of fighting of like how to do this mountain here. It becomes kind of messy because Stafford won the Super Bowl. Obviously, Allen has played unbelievably in the playoffs. Again, we've already been through this so many different times. Highest touchdown to interception ratio. He balls out. Until this last game against the Broncos, 7 out of 10 of his last playoff games, he was also the leading rusher. Just plays high level football. He is never the reason why his team loses in the playoffs, and I am very firm in that statement. Stafford, especially with the Rams, absolutely balls out. There's no denying that one bit. And then obviously Mahomes has, has already highlighted. But I think it's more fun and more interesting to just focus on this season right now. I really hope like that they change it. They won't, because then it changes the Mahomes mountain mentality, and you can't just put Patrick Mahomes at the top. But I really think the mountain should just be this season, or right now for the playoffs, this playoffs. Like, let's just focus right now, this season, not previous accolades, because when you do previous accolades, it's just made up, right? It's just like it's just not based off of anything. And so if I was doing it that way, I would honestly have Jaden Daniels number one. And that's why I want to do this, because it's just more fun. It's more interesting. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying he's the best playoff performer and every team should want him instead of Josh Allen or Lamar. But if we're just talking about performances, I think what Jaden Daniels did and what he was asked to do in the moments of it was just unbelievably amazing. I mean, it really was. I mean, the fact that they were asking him to do this on third down, fourth downs, like it was just unbelievable. So to me, that was the best performance that I saw. And then I would put Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. They both had easy games, but in those games, they had unbelievable high-level football as well. Again, it was an easy game against an easy opponent for them. And so that's why it's kind of like, it is what it is. And again, this is tough because Goff and Mahomes, they didn't play. And so I have no problem just saying, well, they're not on the mountain in this moment in time. They're at the bottom, not because I don't think they're great, not because I don't think that they're going to be great in the next run, but to just stick with like, how did these guys play, this round? And then I'm going to put, Stafford. I would put Stafford, next, and I would actually put him, I would put Stafford and Hurts actually. I'm on the fence of putting Stafford, Hurts, and Stroud, but I think I'm just going to put Stafford and Hurts next to them, because they did exactly what they needed to do. They did exactly what they needed to do. I don't think Stafford played this like great game against the Vikings. It was very basic, very elementary, in a positive way, and he didn't make the mistake. They played conservative, smart. They had the lead. The defense was playing great. Clearly, the Vikings offense was rattled, so they didn't need to do anything too crazy. It was smart, high level football, but it was it was easy football. And again, Stafford was only, and this is why again you can't live and die by box scores. 2 for 10 on third down, 19 for 27, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 117 rating. And that's why it would also be interesting to jump to PFF. We're not going to jump to PFF because I can't get all the quarterbacks in one box, and when I zoom in, it doesn't work. I got to figure out how to do that better next time. I apologize. But yeah, we'll since this was like a significantly shorter clip, we'll jump in and see what all these guys have to say as well. And again, I just want to emphasize though, I just don't think CJ Stroud did anything. He had some really great moments, and it was him that really did help the team out, because I think what the game plan was not working for them. So again, I'm not acting like CJ Stroud played bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like, if we're going to just look at this from either just this season alone, he's not above Jalen Hurts. And if we look at it from a perspective of, last season as well, and the season before, and just playoff career as a whole, Jalen Hurts is above CJ Stroud as well. So it just is what it is, quite frankly.
You get it like loud.
This is very disrespectful, because if I am to remind the viewers of
That's really
last week's mountain.
Yeah, please do.
If we can.
Okay,
last week's mountain,
do they have
I viewed it and I saw all these guys on this mountain, and I saw CJ at the bottom, or I saw Jaden at the bottom of the mountain. I saw all these quarterbacks. Lamar was lower all season long. No one ever moved up past one.
Oh, you mean the 2-row jump?
And yet, CJ, you said, well, the Houston Texans tried to lose that game. Well, CJ didn't.
Really?
You just mentioned the 3rd and 16 play.
Yeah.
You mentioned his second half performance. He clearly outplayed Herbert, who you had, may I remind America, in front of CJ.
What do you mean in front of?
Going into this week.
No chance. Same row. They had to be same row. They weren't same row?
You had him in front. You just slid.
You mean left to right?
You-
Well, there's no left to right.
You slid him over.
What do you
so
mean there's no
Stroud,
left to
let's take a look because
Do
this
they
is
have it?
this is projected revolving around their playoff numbers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at CJ's numbers
Okay.
because this is his record in the postseason.
Yeah.
2 wins, 1 loss,
Yeah.
and he started lower than Jaden, correct?
I can't. I don't.
No, he didn't. But Jaden was able to
Yeah,
jump him
Jaden jumped.
and with 1 win.
Yeah.
With 1 win,
Yeah.
I love what Jaden Daniels has been able to do, but he hasn't accomplished this. You talked
just
about
box score, though.
rookie.
Argument.
You talked about rookie performances. Well, last year we saw CJ do this. He carried his team. He's the reason why we were talking about that team.
Joe Flacco.
This year, we wrote them off in the wild card round.
Not
Why are they even playing? What are they playing for? Broussard has been laughing at me all year long.
That is true. He has
You
been laughing
texted,
at you.
You're trying to jump ship. No, I am here.
Yeah.
We are here to stay. And the apology needs to be as Stroud as the disrespect.
Okay. Can I?
Especially after this week.
All right.
Let's go.
Oh, you don't.
So Greg, and the apologies for the graphical snafu, because Greg wanted to show you guys that Daniels was a row 5 guy, and CJ was a row 4 guy.
Correct.
And then there it is. Here it is. Now we've got it.
Thank you,
Daniels
guys.
was there, and Stroud was row 4. Again, not left to right, guys. So Herbert was not ahead of Stroud. Again, it's a weird, somewhat alphabetical order, not exactly.
Love was ahead of
It either
Stroud.
is or it is.
Again, Love was above him for sure.
Because
and
of
Jaden jumped all the way up.
All right.
So, if I may, just Greg, are you arguing that Jaden Daniels should be dropped?
I'm arguing that CJ won his game. He beat a guy that was in front of him, a team that everyone thought that they were going to lose to. He performed well. Why isn't he sitting where Jaden Daniels is? And Jaden just moved
I
up.
thought Jaden was.
He could have moved up just 1 row. The mountain is slippery. I
The
mean,
mountain is slippery.
But
and
he
playoff
has
time.
great
Playoff
traction.
time, you can move up quite a bit. Listen, I guess I'm just a Jaden Daniels guy too.
Yeah.
Who knew? I didn't know. Brew, go ahead.
Well, since Greg read his bar at the bottom of the telecast,
More.
I will read mine.
Please.
The smartest in the room.
Says Lamar's tier 2.
Jordan's on his feet. Shade so sweet.
Move Lamar up.
With who? Who are we taking down?
Look, he's great in the playoffs, but Matthew Stafford switched them.
Thank you.
Switched them. All right, and here's the thing, and I know you've talked about Lamar's, playoff performances when he was a young buck, and here we're gonna see the breakdown. First 4 playoff games, which all happened 4, 5, 6 years ago, versus the last 3 playoff games he's played in the last 4 years. Much better. All right, much better.
Yeah.
2 of his last 3 playoff games, he's been great. All right, the other one struggled against the Chiefs, but still,
But
threw
great
for
in 2
almost
of the last
300
3.
yards.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
And so, and here's what I want to show you how a guy can get better. Matthew Stafford, let's see his first early in his career. That's 12 years actually worth on the left side with Detroit. He was 0-3, and the numbers aren't great. 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. He goes to the Rams as a more mature player in a better situation, obviously, and now he's lights out in the playoffs. So it does happen, and I'm saying it's happened and happening for Lamar. Here's the other thing, why I would move Lamar up. Lamar is obviously, we all know, a dual threat. Not only do you have to worry about the pass, but you've got to worry about the run, and that gets teams' defenses out of sorts. And then finally, Lamar is facing a team. Now, both guys, Stafford, are facing teams this week where they played well against them, right? Stafford had 104 passer rating and 2 touchdowns, no picks in his last game against the Eagles. Lamar against the Bills, though, 135 passer rating and 3 total touchdowns, 1 running, 2 passing. So I got to move Lamar up next to Josh Allen ahead of Matthew Stafford.
So a few things. How Lamar did in the regular season against the Bills versus how Stafford did in the regular season against the Eagles has no relevance to this whatsoever. But secondarily, it seems like the case you made to me was that Stafford, years ago, different team, was not good in the playoffs. Fine. And the case you're making for Lamar is Lamar a few years ago, what he did shouldn't matter. I'm fine with just saying, you know what? Let's just evaluate both these players on who they've been in the playoffs the last 3 years. That's fine. Stafford's still ahead of him. Stafford's 5-1, 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. It's not 2 good games and 1 bad game. It's 5 awesome games and 1 good game.
Twice as many games.
Yeah.
And he's got Lamar's got 7 touchdowns, 2 turnovers in his last 3 games, playoff games.
Yeah, and Stafford's got 15 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Yeah, but the touchdown ratio is about the same.
Oh, 5-1 to 3.5 to 1. 3.5 to 1 to 5 to 1. Not quite the same. I mean, listen. I mean, we moved Lamar up. Josh Allen was great. Mahomes obviously hasn't even gotten to play yet. He's been chilling. And Stafford, who already had, over the last half-decade, an almost impeccable postseason resume, added to it last night. And so, I mean, it's a tough mountain. I don't know.
Yeah, all right. I think, and this is where I kind of did 2 different mountains, when I was talking about this season, I have them above, which I'm very clear about. But if we are looking at this playoff mountain and we're playing by, Nick's rules, which that is what, when Brew brought up playing against the Bills and the Eagles, I mean, that doesn't mean that has nothing. I think there's a little bit of confusion there. That has nothing to do with this right now. This is the playoff mountain. Then I would say that Stafford is above Lamar. It is. It just is the reality. If we're talking about actual playoff career and what Stafford has been able to accomplish and stepping up in the Super Bowl, a no-look pass. And again, this isn't a prediction of the future. This isn't a prediction or what you think will happen moving forward or just this season. But I think again, if we're gonna play by those strict rules, then yeah, Stafford does deserve to be above Lamar. Lamar is currently now, and I've defended Lamar's lack of playoff success. I've defended it a million different times, and so I'm not going to go on that whole rant here. But I just think that right now, Lamar is currently rewriting his story. He is putting the stamp on his playoff narrative right now. Stafford has already written like 95% of it. Like he's got more pages behind him than in front of him. Lamar Jackson should certainly have way more pages in front of him than behind him. And so that's why I'm totally comfortable having Stafford above Lamar. In terms of the whole Stroud and Jaden Daniels, again, that's why you can't just look at box score. You just can't. When Greg was trying to say that about, CJ Stroud and all that, and he's like, he played great, he's 2-1, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, I mean, even if we now do look at PFF, hopefully I'll be able to get it where you can just actually just see him. Let me see. Oh, it's so annoying. There's CJ Stroud. He's the second worst quarterback. Like, he has a 54 rating, and hold on. Let me do it this way. There we go. Sorry. He's got a 58 rating, so he's the third worst. Sam Darnold, which you can't see, I apologize, I just can't get it to work. 54.9, Jordan Love, 54.7. Now, again, to be fair, these rankings are not perfect because, again, they have to be put in context. Because if you look at this, it looks like that Bo Nix and Russell Wilson played better than Jaden Daniels, and that's just not true. I mean, it's just not. So again, these ratings have to be put into context. But like, I don't want to pretend that CJ Stroud had this like unbelievable game. He played pretty decent, 22 for 32, 66% completion percentage, 282 yards, 8.5 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But I'm just not going to pretend like it was this incredibly, put it this way, he had a rating of 90. I expect higher level football out of CJ Stroud, actually. So if you had lower expectations of CJ Stroud, then yes, you would say, oh, he's 2-1 in the playoffs, and look at the stats there. I have higher expectations for him. I expect even higher level football. And again, I've defended him this season. The lack of the O-line, even having Bobby Slowick being criticized, as well as having to deal with all of the injuries, being this his only second year having to deal with injuries, a bad O-line, a young OC who I don't think did a great job of working around the injuries. Like, I've defended him. I've defended him so many different times. But again, if we're just going to have like a pure neutral conversation about it, my takeaway wasn't like CJ Stroud really elevated and shut up. He had moments where he said, yep, I'm a top pick. Here I come. Let's go. But I mean, it was like, it was an incredibly ugly game from the Chargers. And I agree with what Nick was saying. Like, the Chargers were trying to give that game away. And for a long time, like, it was still possible that the Chargers could win. Like, it was still possible. And so I just would have expected a cleaner, more efficient game from CJ Stroud in that moment. So that's why it's just like, when you consider what Jaden Daniels did on the road, I mean, again, like, part of CJ Stroud's playoff wins was against a Chargers team that wasn't all that special, to be honest, and against the Browns with Joe Flacco, who I think Joe Flacco also turned the ball over a bunch that game. I'm pretty positive the Texans were at home for that game as well. I mean, Jaden Daniels was on the road, Tampa, 3 for 5 on 4th down with 14 points, 2 touchdowns. I mean, was the leading rusher as well. Insane throws. There's no way that you could watch how Jaden Daniels played against the Buccaneers and say that anything CJ Stroud did in his 3 off playoff games was even close to being the same. They just fundamentally were not. The throws that Jaden had to make, and not only did he have to make them, but the moment that he had to make them, 3rd down, 4th down, down by 3, down by whatever, on the road, 4th quarter. I mean, it's just such insanely high level football. That's why I had him at the top of the mountain. If we're just looking at this week, I had him at the top because what he had to do was just special. And I'm going to do a separate clip about Jaden Daniels when Nick kind of talked about his season. So I won't rant anymore about Jaden. I'll have to just repeat myself a bunch too, because there's only so much you can say. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on this kind of bizarre mountain at this point, just because it's so, it's kind of so messy with all the vacant spots and Brew being confused about what the rules are of this mountain, honestly. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.